Thank you, Mr. Thomas. We are going to now turn to member questions, and I'm going to recognize myself for 5 minutes. I wish, honestly, I really do wish we had a long-form podcast kind of conversation that we could have here today, because there are so many avenues to explore in this. But I'll have 5 minutes. We'll all have 5 minutes, but I'm sure we will be having quite a bit of follow-up and on that. So, Mr. Noronha, yesterday at the National Security Subcommittee hearing, I entered into the record, as you had indicated, the report to Congress on renewal of Iraq's sanctions waiver for electricity payments. This is the Biden administration sanctions waiver for the payment of electricity by Iraq to Iran. So you have seen this document since yesterday?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. What are your immediate takeaways? I know you touched on a few of those things. Just explore that briefly.
So it struck me that they were trying to use the 2012 law, which was intended to reduce imports of Iranian oil.
And let's be clear, this is the 2012 NDAA.
Correct.
NDAA Act
yes,
under the Obama administration.
Correct. This was passed by bipartisan from Congress, signed into law by President Obama. This was intended to get Iran's oil and electricity revenues down, and instead, what it appears the administration used that law for is to, in my view, illegally create a channel where Iran could get euros.
Which was specifically the Korea situation, correct? Korea had a reliance on Iranian oil, and this was part of trying to wean them off of that.
So there were 8 countries that we were working to wean off their imports of Iranian oil. We couldn't do so overnight, and so we were trying to do this very fast. Iraq is a slightly separate case.
So yesterday you said immediately you were struck a little bit that Germany, France, and Oman were the 3 exceptions to that. Explore that briefly.
France, Germany, and Oman have never imported Iranian oil. They've never imported Iranian petroleum products. They were never given waivers by the Trump administration because they didn't need them.
So why in the world would they be included in this now?
It is, in my view, legal fiction that was used to somehow cite this law so that they could be the mechanism to launder funds from Iraq into euros for an Omani channel.
Mr. Goldberg, I'm going to turn to you. The administration obviously allowed the transfer of $10 billion from Iraq as well. Where do you suspect this money is now?
We don't have clarity on that. We do know that if you look back, and I document this in my written testimony, we have multiple statements from various Iranian officials and Iraqi officials in that May, June, July timeframe that give us this dollar figure. Some say $10 billion, $11 billion, but remember, Iraq is still importing electricity, so that money continues to grow. It's not one-time money like a frozen account in South Korea or the $3 billion that's still sitting in Japan or any money that's in Delhi or in Beijing that may have been on the docket for transfer in the future under this nuclear understanding. So this $10 billion, let's use that figure, that's a public number. Some amount of that was already paid out, $2.76 billion. We saw that. That was an initial allowance under a prior waiver in June. That was used to pay off various debts of the Iranians, including imports from Turkmenistan, according to public reporting. Then the rest of it, the balance at some point, is transferred under this new waiver, sir, that you've just entered into the record. In July, we have the State Department on record saying that they're designating Oman to be the custodian. This waiver now provides France and Germany in this as well. So clearly there is some movement of cash converting Iraqi dinar to euro in Europe and moving it into Oman. The balance in Oman is unknown. The balance in Iraq is unknown. The balance in France or Germany is unknown. But according to the waiver, these are the institutions that would be involved. And of course, we don't have the names of the institutions involved.
Is Oman known as a straight-up player in the banking industry?
Oman is viewed in some ways, in historical terms, worse than Qatar as far as playing all sides. We've seen public reporting in the past of their ties to the IRGC at times, smuggling routes through Oman and around Oman that the Iranians have used. They've been used, if you go back to 2015, 2013, right after Congress had enacted the 2 laws that we're really discussing here. That secret negotiation of the now National Security Advisor was with the Omanis to get to that JCPOA originally. That's why the Omanis were used again by Brett McGurk for this channel.
I've got just a few seconds and so much more. Any one of you, are you aware that there's a written agreement between the Qataris and the U.S.? And the same question on the Omanis. Because when we see White House spokespeople saying these funds are frozen, quote, it does not appear that they really are.
Mr. Chairman, there is a written agreement that outlines the hostage deal and the $6 billion payment. To my knowledge, I do not know of a written agreement pertaining to the potential freeze.
The waiver, I believe, sir, does make reference to communications. The committee should ask for all communications.
Okay. Appreciate that. And my time has expired. With that,